So I've been wanting to talk about some of my favorite arcs in all of anime and manga history, and one of my favorite arcs is the Yorknew City arc in Hunter x Hunter. You guys know that I'm a big fan of Hunter x Hunter. I just made a Meruem video about how I think he's one of the best villains of all time, and today we're going to be talking about the Yorknew City arc, which I think is like the fourth arc in Hunter x Hunter, and it's the first real arc. All right, spoiler warning all the way up through Yorknew City, which is episode like 60-something. Spoiler warning. No shade to the earlier arcs of Hunter x Hunter. I actually love early Hunter x Hunter. I think it does an amazing job at setting up the world and our characters for their grand adventure. The Heaven's Arena arc is great at planting the seeds of the Nen foundation so that we can further expand upon it and blow it completely out of the water in the Yorknew City arc when we have multiple incredible Nen specialists and characters like Kurapika that can master Nen in under 6 months. In fact, the Yorknew City arc's focus on these Nen specialists is incredible. You have characters like Crollo, Kurapika, and even Neon that have these absurd abilities that we just now have a taste for, and we want to see more and more crazy abilities, and they just keep feeding them to us. It's really incredible how it actually works, because when you pick apart this arc, it's really hard to actually tell who the antagonists are. It's really easy to write off the spiders as antagonists because they're mass murdering thieves, right? They went there to steal every single item in the auction, and that's it. They're ruthless, and, well, they kill a lot of people. Like a lot of people. But after you watch or read the entirety of the arc, you have so much screen time with the spiders that you start to kind of think, wow, I kind of feel bad for these spiders. Not only are they real characters that actually seek out vengeance for their friends, you have Nobunaga, who's just as broken up about Uvogin dying as Kurapika would be if Gon died. As we watch the events unfold from the perspective of the spiders, we see them getting picked off one by one by an unknown threat, the Chain User. Yes, they're an evil organization, but they are still humans. They all still feel for each other. They don't want the spider to die. They still have incredible camaraderie, and it's hard to see them as just black and white villains and good guys. All I'm saying is that if you can't sympathize with the spiders, then maybe this arc is not for you. And if you just want to, be like, oh yeah, Kurapika. I love Kurapika too. Don't get me wrong. But the spiders are cool. You can't even say they're not. They're like the best villainous group in all of anime and manga. I think they're better than the Akatsuki. I think they're better than the Espada. They're also incredibly well done in overpowered scaling. I think Nen battles are really interesting for that sense because any character can just be OP and it doesn't make them unbeatable. It never comes down to just raw physical strength. Well, I guess it can come down to that, but it doesn't always. You of course have Kurapika versus Uvogin, right? The peak of like just physical strength, like raw strength, is Uvogin. There's nobody else, right? I mean, just looking at the guy, he's super strong, unbelievably durable. You can't hurt him until you use a Nen ability that makes him immovable. And why? Because Kurapika is that strong of a Nen user. You've Gon and Killua being able to escape Nobunaga. You have so many instances here of characters that probably should not be able to, do what they do. They can do it because Nen is just an amazing shonen power system. When Kurapika was first introduced, obviously he was vengeful of the spiders, and we didn't really have a good scope of how strong these spiders were. We had no idea of how lofty of a goal this is. And in this arc, we actually get to meet all of the spiders, and we get to see some in conflict and really crazy battles with other hyped up characters like Crollo versus Silva and Zeno. We have the Shadow Beasts hyping up characters as well, which are characters that we haven't seen yet, but are now being hyped up with only one episode. Okay, enough about the spiders. Let's talk about Kurapika, because it's really his arc, right? This is the first time we really get a break from Gon and Killua. We really get to move forward on Kurapika. And of course, Gon takes a back seat, but he's still a major role in the arc. He's, entangled up in the whole Phantom Troupe stuff, but he's really there for Greed Island, which is really just like the next arc. And this will not be the only time that we get to focus on Kurapika, but it is the first time, and we love this time because Yorknew City arc is so great for that. Kurapika comes in with obviously knowing the lofty goal of destroying the spiders. This is a really, really difficult thing, and that's why he puts all of his everything into doing that. He makes all of his Nen powers exclusive to destroying the spiders, and that's it. And that's crazy because you can only get such ridiculous powers by limiting yourself and putting these restrictions and these goals and these limiters all on your will, on your nen abilities. And he does it so masterfully. And it's crazy because instantly Kurapika is one of the best nen users, or at least an incredible nen user, a specialist. And once we find out how ridiculous his goals are by finally seeing these spiders, Uvogin is built up to be such this monster that nobody could ever touch. And then all of the characters that are with Kurapika when he walks up to fight Uvogin or to steal him the first time, like right after he defeated the Shadow Beasts, Kurapika walks up and just snatches him right up. We just saw, 3 episodes, 5 chapters, whatever, of crazy Uvogin just really being a monster. I mean, being a full freight train of destruction. And then we see Kurapika just take him right up. Nothing to it. We're like, wow, this goes to show how powerful Kurapika has gotten in such a small amount of time. He learned Nen in 6 months. Here we are 6 months after he's learned Nen. That's incredible. I mean, you shouldn't be able to do anything like this. These are feats that you should not be able to have in this, but it's because of his dedication to the goal that he can make his Nen so powerful, he makes inescapable chains for only the spiders. We see this side of Kurapika that's really, really dark, and not only just Kurapika, the whole world. We see everything in this arc so dark. It's through a completely different lens. Everything prior to this, we saw through Gon's eyes, which is this, naive young boy who really just wants to see his dad. It's a simple world that Gon is living in. Obviously, it's not so simple, and there's some huge hurdles along the way for Gon as well, but as far as we've seen so far, the world is pretty not bad. But now we're really seeing this evil, this underground, this mafia stuff. We're seeing Kurapika going, working for somebody who's a body part collector. That's so dark. I mean, that's evil. This cute, innocent girl is just collecting human body parts and stuff. That's nuts. I mean, that's a crazy thing to do. And it just seems so normalized in this world. That's just casually what a rich person would do. And then we get a real explanation of the Phantom Troupe, and we get episodes and episodes and episodes dedicated to them, and where we don't even see Gon or Killua or Kurapika or anything. We have multiple episodes where we're just seeing only about them massacring a room of citizens and civilians, and it's just crazy how dark this show can get. We see Kurapika become a murderer. I mean, that's dark, man. That's dark. You have some of the most brutal shit in the entire show, and honestly, a lot of anime and manga. You have Finks just running around pulling heads off of people. It's crazy. Once they add the seeing the future into it, it just gets wild because everybody's able to predict the next thing that's going to happen. And it's just like, why are we twisting fates over and over and over again? It's nuts. It starts off with the spiders planning on just easily taking over the auction and taking all of the artifacts, every single thing. And then that gets moved because we can see the future. And then Crollo can see the future. And now instead of losing half of the spiders, they get away pretty much scot-free. They have 1 loss, and Crollo, well, okay, basically 2 losses. But 1 loss permanently and 1 loss not permanently, probably. It's not permanent. Probably. We get to see how all of these pieces work together. It's just so fantastic. There's nothing bad in Yorknew City arc. There's no plot holes. It's all gas the whole way through, except for a couple of little bits and pieces. You have a couple bits and pieces of just Gon and Killua walking around trying to buy objects, flipping them on eBay. You got that, but that's fine because it's a little bit of flavor in there, right? You don't want it to be just completely dark and murder. Then it goes into Greed Island so perfectly. We finally get to close up on Kurapika's thing, and it's not actually closed. It's just, set aside so that we can do it in 200 chapters. Also, I didn't even talk about one of my favorite parts of this whole thing that can split off into Theory Town. You got Gon and Killua being offered a position on the spiders. Obviously, they're not going to take it. Well, maybe Killua would in a different world, but Gon obviously isn't going to take it because he's this kind, pure of heart little dude. He's not going to join a murderous group of thieves, but if he did, just imagine the world, right? There's definitely a world where Gon says, okay, maybe they could help me find my dad. We could definitely beat this video game or whatever, or we could acquire the video game. I mean, they would definitely be able to acquire the video game. If Gon had no idea how to get the money or get into Greed Island, and he just took the offer to join the Troupe and had them get the game for him, I mean, this show would have gone in a completely different way. And it's amazing to think about how crazy the whole show would have changed. The entire series would be unbelievably different. That's really it. I feel like I'm gonna start rambling. Crazy question. What's your favorite arc in all of anime? Comment it down below because I really want to know what it is. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel right now.